Hello, 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 my friends. Thank you for joining me. I'm Nicholas W. Fuller, and I'm the host of Person Behind the Pages, the show where we get to know the creators that make the things we love. I'm joined today by Louise Holland. How you doing?
Oh, I've never been better, Nicholas. How are you?
I've also never been better. Never. All right. As we're getting going, I'm going to play some music because I like it. All right. I like it, but like I used to play it right in the very beginning, but I think when I play it right in the very, very beginning, it kind of messes up with my little with the audio a little bit. But let me also click go live over here on Instagram. All right.
It
So
definitely sounded like a '90s Nickelodeon cartoon opening.
you know what? I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that.
We needed a logo to come in from the middle of the screen and flip. Yeah.
Yeah. Look at this.
We'll make
That's
it happen.
rad. Yeah.
There's got to be someone in the break-ins that does graphic design.
Yeah. Andrew's pretty good.
Yeah.
Way better than I am. We got Blue Smoke Fire. Hey, thank you for joining us.
It's Bob. It's my number one fan. Love you, Bob.
Hey, Bob. Thanks for joining us. Throw me that like and subscribe, please. I will ask for it. I will beg for it. Yeah. So, hey, I know this guy too.
Hey. Everyone's rocking up.
Good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you. Thank you guys for joining. Thank you for joining. So, Lou, the Australian author Lou Holland, who was born in Sweden. Totally not confusing, right? So we're going to talk about
either, so it doesn't it bears no effect on my heritage. It's just messy.
Just messy.
Yeah. Chaotic good is definitely my alignment. Let's just say that.
Perfect. Well, yeah, definitely. We have so much D&D we have to talk about, of course, for obvious reasons. I want to talk about Taylor Swift a little bit. I want to talk about how you even have time for this sort of thing because you have a day job and you have kids and you're writing a book and you're,
Spoiler, I don't have time. That's that's pretty much it.
And yet you have some fun reels. One of them has like millions of views. You've had other that have hundreds of thousands of views. I know. Listen, you can't get away from it. You're not going to get away from it. What's up, Dr. Love?
Hey. You know what? I'm going to say it right here. This is why everyone needs a writing group. This is why people need their own version of the break-ins, because look at this attendance here.
Yep. Yeah. Rob and Caden. Yeah, no, seriously. If you guys don't have a peer group and you're a writer, you absolutely recommend. 10 out of 10 would do again. So, yeah, so much to talk about you, Lou. We're going to talk about the book also. Let's go ahead and start there with the book. Give me a pitch for Spark of the Divine.
Well, Nick, if you've ever played D&D and then you've thought to yourself, you know what, this absolute batshit crazy story would make a really good novel. I thought that, and then I wrote it. So here it is. It is technically a true story. It follows a group of adventurers as they attempt to restore the power of the gods, which has been stolen and siphoned for nefarious purposes. There's a lot of chaos, a lot of natural 20s, and a lot of natural 1s. It's not an lit RPG. It's it reads as a novel. If you've never played D&D before and you don't know what the fuck it is, you can still read this and understand it.
Okay, so there's, you say there's natural 20s and there's natural 1s, but it's sort of in the book, it's more just points where things go fucking great and things where points go absolutely not great.
Absolutely, my friend, absolutely. I just like putting it in terms that people will understand.
Yeah. I love it. Okay, cool. So we're going to talk more about Spark of the Divine. I'm going to kind of change up my format a little bit tonight. We're going to try to sprinkle in a little book talk here and there, and we'll try to talk about the book more at the end. So first, we're going to talk a little bit more about you. Hey, yo, pink hair, don't care. Let's hear some more spicy hot takes. Oh, what were we talking about in the chat? Oh yeah. How some of your favorite books are objectively bad.
Yeah, absolutely. One of my favorite books of all time is the 2002 Spider-Man novelization from the Tobey Maguire movie. It's just not good. It's really bad. But I'm looking for it on my shelf right now, but it's probably disintegrated from mold at this point. No, I read that thing cover to cover 50,000 times. If you haven't dropped a book in the bath, then do you really like it? And that book has water damage.
I would say the answer is no, but I guess like I don't like a lot of books. Dang it! So
don't take enough baths. That could also be that.
You know what though? Like I got the waterproof Kindle though. Maybe that's my secret. You know,
that could count. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
See. Love it. So you had on your Amazon bio that you completed your first novel over 3 job changes, the back end of a pandemic, an official adult ADHD diagnosis, cementing proof that there's no motivation quite like spiked.
Yeah.
But you also list Brandon Sanderson and Robin Hobb as your main author influences and listen to a completely normal amount of Taylor Swift.
Absolutely. I'm definitely not in the top 0.05% of global Spotify listeners.
Of global? Really?
Yeah. And you know what? I've seen the stats. There are people who leave that shit running 24/7 just to have the clout of being 24/7, like being the top listeners. So like I don't consider those people actual competition.
Fair. But
you know what? She has like 280 songs across over 10 albums and a bunch of different genres. So why would
Does she really? Yeah, why would I need other music? Yeah. It's 280 songs. That's pretty wild. That's like how many, if you average like, let's just say 5 minutes a song, because let's say 2 minutes a song. So that would be...
I mean, there is All Too Well, the 10-minute version, but then there's like a 220 song. So we'll go from there to there.
Yeah. Okay. Well, but I'm just going to say 2 minutes just because that makes the math easy. So 280 times 2, 560. So 560 minutes. Almost 10 hours of just like, more than 10 because 2 is the low average,
Well, let's put it this way. My playlist on Spotify currently only has the Taylor's versions of them. So it's missing 2 albums. That is a 12-hour long playlist.
Dang. So which Taylor Swift song is your most listened to? I mean, you can see that, right?
My brain is like, pick up your Stats FM app. Like, no, we don't need to have a pie chart breakdown. I'm gonna say purely on stats, either Maroon, Ivy, or The Lakes. They probably would have been my top 3s. But there we go. Thanks, Bob. Bob Googled it. Bob Googled the math.
There you go. Yep. So that's total time for every album. That's pretty amazing. Yeah. Who needs more music?
Like, it depends on the vibes. It depends on what I need from the music. I also think that people who don't really listen to Taylor think that she makes happy bubblegum music. She does not. It is all super depressing. It is all super angry or sad.
So fair, but can I tell you my favorite Taylor Swift song is "Shake It Off," and I love it.
Is that for the Sing movie?
I love the way you said okay. You're like, that is the wrong answer, but I'm not gonna hold it against you.
You're entitled to your wrong opinion. That's all right. One of the biggest debates I've ever been in is arguing over top 3 Taylor songs with multiple people, because then they've started screaming at each other about like, style is top 3, and then someone else is like, it doesn't even have a bridge. Why would you Taylor's bridges of her songs are considered monumental. So it's like, why would you have a top 3 that doesn't even have a bridge in it? And then it's basically anything she's played on the radio is like at the bottom for me, basically, because everything else is
okay. You want that depressing stuff. Yeah.
I mean, there are no bad Taylor Swift songs. There are just Taylor Swift songs you don't relate to yet.
All right.
That's pretty much it. Like, there's some that I'm like, I don't know if I get this, but I'll give it some time. That's fine.
Eventually, one day.
A couple years later, I'm like, oh, Oh, I get it.
You were
That's
so
painful.
right, Taylor. You were so ahead of the game. Yep.
Taylor's like the Sanderson of like music as well, because all of her songs, like if you look in the lyrics, they like can link to each other.
Oh,
And
really?
kind of
Oh, wow.
like you can sort of pull them back. Like, you know, in the song Red from 2012, you've got Loving Him Was Red. And then in the song Daylight from Lover, which is later on, it says, I used to think love was burning red, but it's golden. So it's like, you know.
Taylor Swift is the Cosmere. All right.
Absolutely, yeah. I could write a thesis on this shit. I could write a novel on this shit, which coincidentally, this has some hidden Taylor lyrics because I'm insane. Please don't sue me, Taylor. It's an homage. I promise. I'm not
fair
stealing
use.
it.
It's fair use. Yeah.
But,
Yeah. That's crazy. That's cool. I love your passion for it. I love it. Sorry. So should we talk about Brandon Sanderson and Robin Hobb as influences, or should we talk about 3 job changes, the back end of a pandemic, and official adult ADHD diagnosis? We're going to talk about both. Which one do you want to talk first?
I mean, the influence is probably easier.
Okay. All right.
Like, I guess, like, I have a similar story to most people who, like, you know, when you read a lot as a kid and you devour Harry Potter, you devour Percy Jackson, you read, you know, all that kind of shit and you love it. And then kind of you hit your late teens and reading's not cool anymore. Either that or you get your first job and you kind of don't have any time. So you kind of fall off for a couple of years there. And then my boyfriend at the time, who's now my husband, he bought me Mistborn for my 23rd or 24th birthday. And my birthday's at the beginning of December, just for reference. By the time it hit Christmas, he had bought me the other two, because I was like, I've read it. Give me the rest of them.
Give me.
And then from there, it just kind of spiraled. I started reading Feist. I started reading Robin Hobb. All of those kind of like I went through the Wheel of Time, Discworld, you know, like all of that kind of like those big epic sprawling series, and I was just like, oh shit, man, I didn't know it could be like this. Like I grew up in a house full of books, but not really so much the magic, like the sci-fi and fantasy. My mom was one of those people that went and bought 10 books for $1 from the thrift store, and then she would like just tear through them and then go get another. So, but you know, how many of them were actually good is another story.
What was she reading? Like, was she reading thrillers? Was she reading romance? Was she reading mysteries?
The answer is yes. She was reading whatever the fuck she picked up. Yeah, man. Probably the only one that I remember specifically her pulling is the Jean M. All. Have you read the Clan of the Cave Bear series?
No.
They're like super. Actually, they're right down here.
They're right here by my feet. I keep my cave bears as an ottoman.
I promise I'm still here. They look like this. So they're like super old school. This is what all my books look like.
Okay.
But it's basically a story about like when humans at the beginning of when we're starting to separate from Neanderthal and Cro-Magnon, this girl gets separated from her like Cro-Magnon family who all die, and she gets raised by a tribe of Neanderthals, and like all the magic that they like have in their spirituality and blah blah blah, and then so on and so forth. And basically she invents the wheel, everything but the wheel, by the end of the series, and you're kind of like, okay, I get it. But the first 2 or 3 books are just incredible descriptors of like just the most beautiful prose. Like this woman, you know how Tolkien takes like 6 pages to describe a tree? She's very similar in that regard, except like you can picture what it is so clearly, because it's like it's basically whatever we had, like, you know, it's not quite Pangea, but it's like, you know, whatever the fuck was there before, like all the plates started shifting kind of stuff. So
I love the creativity of writers in general. I would never have thought to do like Cro-Magnons, Neanderthals, you know, but like somebody did. I love it. Sounds like a great band name, Cave Bear Clan. I like it. I could see it as like
a great band name.
Rob, what kind of band is it? I sort of see it as like a like vocals because it sounds kind of bearish, you know? I think it has to have that. Lou's like,
shout
not
out to
that.
my brother if he's watching, which he's not. He's been in like 12 fucking bands and they all sound like that. Love you. They've all had like different. This Side of the Massacre was probably my favorite name for a band. Like, how brutal is that? It's fucking epic.
Nice. Well, that's amazing. I love that
mean,
your boyfriend / now husband got you kind of back into reading. That's fantastic. But whatever. You know, again, completed your first novel over 3 job changes, back in a pandemic, and an official adult ADHD diagnosis. Was like, when did you kind of get into writing? Have you always been a writer since you were a little girl, especially as your mom was like doing all the reading, or like was the pandemic like, fuck, I'm indoors all the time, I'm gonna do something, it's time to actually write my story? Obviously, like, it's inspired by D&D, your D&D campaign too. So how did that fit in there with you deciding to write this book, you know?
Yeah, I've definitely always been a writer. I was the kid writing, like, I used to write these fake news articles on my, like, I'm going to date myself here. Like, you know, those old ass cream Windows 95, like the first personal computers people got. We had one of those, and it was garbage. And in between downloading, finding like Banjo-Kazooie tutorial, like walkthroughs, I was writing, like, basically, now I look back, I'm like, oh, this is OC insertion fan fiction. Like, I was writing articles about me as an adult who was going to be famous. And I was like putting together all these little, like, oh, this Louise Holland was spotted with this other amazing movie star. Oh my God, this is so embarrassing. I should not be telling people this.
Yes, you should. This is good. This is great.
And then,
go ahead.
From there, kind of graduated on into, you know, your fanfic.net, fucking like Harry Potter fan fiction, whatever, like Percy Jackson, like, yeah, just was not telling any of you my username. Absolutely not.
Never.
But yeah, and then, you know, we had the age of MySpace with the blogs. So that was pretty big. I used to write poetry.
Yeah. You put some poetry on your MySpace?
Yeah. And, like, you know, blog posts about like fictional stories, but like they weren't. It was just shit that happened to me over the weekend. But I guess circling it back to the book, I always had ideas for stories and for novels, but I could never kind of get it past that.
I bet it was.
It was. The HTML coding was next level as well. Like,
you had the right.
I think I had a mouse cursor with a skull on it. Like, yeah, that shit was cool.
Did you have a Taylor Swift playlist, or were you not a Swiftie at the time?
I had. So Taylor, just for like dating as well. No.
Yes.
Taylor Swift is 1 year younger than me.
Hey, nice.
She was starting to release music and shit around like the 15, 16-year-old mark. So I was 16, 17 on MySpace. And she used to like comment on people's shit and like talk to them. And like, I'm pretty sure I listened to her demo, like old shit on MySpace. I was like, oh my God, this is kind of cool. Like, I didn't really fuck with country, but I was like, it's nice that she's talking to people.
Yeah.
Now look where we are 25 years later.
Yeah, she still talks to people. Just she does it 50,000.
She's not allowed to anymore. She tries.
50,000 people at a time. She's like, hey, right.
But where was I going with this? So yeah, I never really had the concentration skills or organizational skills to kind of put everything together to outline. I didn't know how to do that. I just had a cool idea for a story, and I'd write 3 chapters and then kind of give up or forget about it. So when my husband and our friends and I, we got into playing D&D in 2018. So we've been playing for a good few years there. And we were at kind of the back end of finishing up that campaign, which had been like, it was a fully homebrewed campaign. Like, nothing was in the book, essentially. Matt and we all just made it up. And I started thinking, and I was like, this would be a sick story. and I just couldn't get the idea out of my mind. And I was like, you know what? And I know I'm going to wait until it ends. I'm going to see where it ends, what happens, what we do. And then if I can sort of plot it, then we'll see how we go. And then so we finished up that campaign. I want to say beginning of 2021, we finished that arc. We retired those characters. We knew that was the last that was going to happen. We've done some stuff since, but that's not important. And so I sat down and I looked at what we had done and the story we had told, and I was like, there's a very definitive end point. There's a middle point, and there's the front point. That's a trilogy. Sick. Let's give it a go, see what happens. And so from there, I kind of just went crazy and started writing. I went back. I was like emailing chapters to my best friend, and I like read a couple back the other day, and I was like, oh, I've definitely come a long way from what I was first churning out. Like, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't. It shouldn't have seen the light of day. It should have been edited first. Let's just say that. But yeah, I think that was the hurdle I needed to get over, was the fact that I didn't know how to plot a story, and then suddenly there was this finished.
There was this beautiful story, plotted for you. Yeah. Pretty awesome. Yeah. So, and you guys, I guess, were playing through the pandemic, playing remotely.
Yeah, we played remote for a few. We were really lucky here in Australia, and in Adelaide in particular. We were only locked down, like lockdown, for like 2 months. Like, it was not much at all.
Wow. Nice.
But yeah, a lot of places had it a lot worse. Like, I know Melbourne was locked down for a good year or so. That was fucked.
Right.
But it was more like the pandemic, I think, changed a lot of people's priorities and made them like take a step back and sort of assess what they really wanted out of life. And like, I know for me, I definitely had a bit of a crisis when it came to like, I was managing a team of 25 people working 45 hours a week. I'd had my daughter just before the pandemic happened, so I was like raising not even a toddler at that point. And I just remember being like, I don't want to do this shit. I don't want to go to work and kill myself for a company that literally doesn't care.
Yeah.
And would replace me in a week if I cucked it. And so I decided to see, like, I wasn't thinking about selling the novel. I wasn't thinking about making it a career. I was thinking about the fact that I wanted to devote less of my brain time and my mental capacity into working, doing something that didn't matter. And I wanted to put more of it into something that was making me happy and letting my creativity come out. So I think the pandemic, like without the pandemic, I don't know if that would have happened as much, or if I would have felt more obligated to stay in,
sure,
the capitalist wasteland that is our economy.
So have you are you like a stay-at-home mom now, or did you kind of rejoin the workforce? So you're working part-time?
Yeah, so I switched jobs, and then I hated the job that I switched to. Like, it was the worst job of all time, and I only lasted 5 months there. And after that, we all sat down and we worked it out, and I was like, I'm going to take a year off. I'm going to write. I'm going to get my shit together. It was fantastic. Now my husband and I own our own vending machine business. So he works full-time doing that, and I don't work full-time, but I'd spend a few of the days like filling the machines and stuff that he doesn't.
Nice.
Which still gives me flexibility, and it gives me time to write as well. So yeah, I'm definitely not I'm not making bank with the writing to be able to justify not working.
But at the same time, like working your vending machine business, that sounds like that doesn't take like a huge amount of mental space. So you're able to kind of probably spend some of the mental energy on the writing, right?
Definitely. I've got the old Writing Excuses podcast like blasting in my ears as I'm filling, especially if I feel like a Westfield machines, because they're literally all the same pattern. So I'm not even paying attention. I'm just like, bang, Pepsi Max, bang, Pepsi, keep going. Like,
yeah.
Not take much at all.
Nice.
That's really good.
That's cool. All right, so we're getting
spite. Oh, and spite. I write out of spite. That's what I do.
So briefly, we're getting kind of a few more people joining in. Thanks for watching. Lou, go ahead and give us another quick kind of pitch for Spark for those that have joined us more recently, please.
Oh, God, but I've only got one pitch. I don't know what else.
Give us the same pitch. Just say the same thing.
Pitch.
I wrote
This
Spark.
is a novel that I wrote. It's about these people, and they go on a magical adventure together while trying to not let each other know that they all have crushes on each other, and also that one of them may or may not be a murderer.
Ooh,
there
what?
We go.
I didn't know that.
Oh, actually, technically, they're all murder. Is it murder if you're in combat? This actually does come up in the book. I'm like, is it murder if you're fighting for your life, it's not murder,
right?
But if you're killing someone that's unarmed,
I think there's a big legal distinction between like a declared war versus killing someone in your backyard. Have you ever seen the comedian Eddie Izzard?
I know of him.
Yeah, he had this bit where it was messed up but hilarious. But like talking about how there's throughout history, like in World War II, the Russians, Americans lost like 500,000 people, British lost like 500,000 people, and the Russians lost 25 million people. What? How did they lose? So many people. And then but Hitler, he was killing all these people, and at first he was just kind of killing his own people and like, well, whatever. But then he went and invaded Poland, and it's like, after a few more years, we won't put up with that, will we? Like, because if you kill your own people, we're kind of fine with it, but if you kill your neighbors, no, like, messed up. But it was he delivered it much better, so he actually made it funny. He made it fun. It's not murder if you're lawful good. I mean, that's a good point too.
One of my favorite, I love this, Rob. One of my favorite questions is when people ask me what like classes the guys were in the book. Because the answer's not as clear cut as it should be, because I had to change a lot so that Wizards of the Coast wouldn't sue me.
Yeah, that's important.
So like May has divine magic, so that makes her a cleric, right? But also she can shape change, which makes her a druid, right? So it's like, ¿por qué no las dos? Like, it's both, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah, it's definitely, magic lines get blurred a lot more in Spark. I definitely didn't want it to feel like they had spell slots and they all had their own classes. Like, ew, no, I didn't want that. I wanted magic to come from two specific sources. So that you've got your divine magic, which comes from belief and manifestation in gods. But then you've also got the arcane magic, which comes straight from the weave itself, which I think offers two different sides and two different I guess paths for me to explore, and I'm really enjoying. Now I've finally made some leeway into book 2, which is a lot more arcane focused. Whereas, obviously, this one, Spark of the Divine, you got to have, if you don't have divine magic in there, it's kind of a wasted title, really.
Love it, Bert. What the hell are you talking about?
I can't send you. This is going to be a tangent. Here we go. I didn't take my ADHD meds this morning. We're fucked. If South Australia has like the strictest import-export of, like, you can't bring a banana in if you've got it in your bag and you're on a plane. Like, they will make you chuck that shit out. They're like, do not bring your fruit and vegetables into my state. They will fuck you up. So I'll try and send y'all some kangaroos, but also kangaroos will also fuck you up. I don't know if you've seen them. You may be picturing a wallaby, which are very cute and quite small versions of kangaroos. But kangaroos are.
You don't ever want to get in a kickboxing match with a kangaroo.
No, yeah, they'll use their tail as a tripod and then like just double, like, and it gives people heart attacks and they die.
Yeah,
because it's so powerful. It's actually terrifying.
We'll send keychains. Perfect. Like, do we have to? All right. So
I'll stick to stickers, but thanks for the idea.
Thanks, Josh, but no. So yeah, all right. So you played a bunch of D&D. The D&D kind of inspired your book, which is fantastic. I mean, laid it out, but you had to make changes. So obviously this is planned as a trilogy, right? You mentioned that earlier. Well,
Yeah.
like, are you gonna have to play more D&D to figure out your next books that you'll write in the future?
Well, here's the thing. We've never been the type of people to do anything half-assed. So we've actually been playing double campaigns our entire time. So
you've already, yeah, all right, good.
yeah, I'm good. I'm good, man. We used to play alternating Mondays, so we would have
Yeah.
one campaign on one night and then one on the other. And then when this one is called we just called it Calarak because that was the name of the planet,
Mm-hmm.
or the realm, I should say. So Calarak switched to every Sunday. So then we were playing weekly for Calarak and then Mondays alternating for the other one. The first campaign, I can't really do because that was when you start D&D and you're like, I'm going to do the module they give you because I don't know what I'm fucking doing. So I can't really turn that one into a book unless I make some very, very
significant
major
changes.
Otherwise, a 5-headed dragon named Pierre is going to come down and try and kill everyone. You know what I mean? Like, it's not going to work. But the other Monday campaign called Nexus is like a fully like Spelljammer, spacey, steampunk kind of. So you might see me going into sci-fi a little bit more than fantasy as well, which is I'm honestly kind of stoked for.
Come to the dark side. Come.
Yeah. And not to see, I'm intimidated by sci-fi because I don't like maths.
I don't feel like, how much math is there in Star Wars? You know what I mean?
I don't know. I feel like I need to know how things work a bit more. Like, science fiction is when it has to make sense, and fantasy is like a wizard did it.
But I feel like, okay, like I think that the like science fiction, there's a big spectrum, right? There's like hard sci-fi, like The Martian, where like feels very plausible and like, okay, he had to figure out how to grow the potatoes and like that was part of the story, versus like Star Warsy stuff. Well, literally, I read a book called The Captain by Will White, and the dude is running around with a pistol, flying in a spaceship, and he has a magic wand. Like, you can do what you want.
It all in there.
Yeah.
It's fine.
One lightsaber plus one lightsaber equals Darth Maul. There's your math. Amazing. There's your math. That's all the math you need. Yeah. I feel like you can do what you want, but
I've also got novellas in the works as well, because like I did a lot of there's a lot of shit that we did in campaign that didn't really make sense to fit in as a story. If I'd added all of those little side quests in, then the book would have been 5,000 pages long, and no one wants to sit there and read that. So I'm kind of thinking about like a little mini series of like little novellas of telling all of those little side quest stories, as well as a proper prequel. But I can't drop the prequel novella until all of the rest of them are out, because it would spoil the entire series.
Yeah.
Which, no one wants to do that. I'm like, here's the creation story of how the actual planets were all formed, and everyone will be like, why does that guy have the same name as that other guy? I'm like, no reason. Coincidence. Definitely not the same.
Yeah. That's fun. Well, that's pretty cool. I mean, I'm kind of amazed and jealous. How old are you? You said you like one kiddo you had just before the pandemic. Then do you have just the one, or you have two kids, I think?
So my stepson is 12. He's just about to turn 12.
Okay.
But his dad and I got together when he was just past 1. So I've been here the whole time.
Yeah.
And my daughter is 4.5. So she's 5 in October.
Wow, dude.
So they're both at really good ages at the moment. It's fantastic. She was horrific as a newborn. She didn't sleep for more than 20 minutes straight for 2 years. So I think I might still be traumatized by that.
Oh my God.
But once she started sleeping, I was like, oh, I like being a parent. This is great.
Yeah. That's amazing. Well, I had no idea that we had that in common, because my son, who's technically stepson, but I tend to not say that, but yeah, he's
I call him my bonus kid.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah. So he's 10, gonna be 11, and my daughter is turning 3 on Monday.
cute.
Yeah, so really close. Yeah. I like the joke too. I say like, yeah, despite the like age difference, it really works out because my daughter, she thinks that her older brother is the coolest person in the world, and my son, well, he agrees.
Yeah, right. And like they're far enough away that they don't like get in each other's faces a lot. My stepson has 2 other sisters, and they're a lot closer in age to him, and he is annoyed by them constantly all the time. Yes, we have to drink because someone mentioned
Yeah.
Ryan K. Shit.
Right.
I already need to pee because that's just who I am as a person. But God damn it.
Team Tiny Bladder, high five.
It's just got the
Like,
it's got the consistency of Swiss cheese ever since I had a kid, so it's always bad, but now it's just worse.
yep.
Yeah, Jensen can't handle his other sisters, but because Kira's so much younger and they've like and they don't see each other all the time, they get along
Okay.
really, really well, which I like.
Yeah.
My stepfather has read Spark twice now. I'm like, can you stop? I feel like you're gonna start picking up on like inconsistencies that I didn't realize were there.
That's
I
really
read it again.
nice.
I wrote a paper on it at school. I was like, "Oh, bro, be cool, man!" Like,
aww. Nice.
And then he like makes me explain plot points. I'm like, "Bro, if you read slower, maybe you would get them." I
don't. Come on, man. They're there. I promise. You'll figure it out.
He's like, I really like when blah 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 happened. I'm like, babe, you can't say that out loud. Like, people are gonna hear you and then spoil the twist. Like, that's something I find so hard in like marketing and just in general trying to sell your story. Like, I can't talk about any of the cool shit in my book without completely ruining the surprise or the twist. It's like, oh, like that cool thing where the blank happens and the person dies, and then they don't because they like. What do? You can't do anything in that situation.
Yeah.
People need to hurry up and read it so that we can do like a spoiler alert podcast where we talk about all the cool shit that I did in there.
Agree. Meanwhile, our chat is popping off because they're just talking about the Ryan Cahill drinking game. So every time he's mentioned, you have to drink. But apparently we're turning it into a Katana expansion, so... And David carried a drinking game into his weekly writing group. That sounds very dangerous, but I think I'm on board. I think that sounds fun.
Amazing. Keep hydrated. Thanks, Ryan.
While we're talking D&D also, you played some RPG during TBRCon. How did that happen? What did you play? What was that like? Tell me all about it.
Well, the way that happened was kind of like it was a little bit of chaotic, but it was fantastic. I was meant to be on a different panel, and then some stuff got messed up and I couldn't be on it anymore. And Adrian, shout out to Adrian, Mushroom Blues just came out, Everyone Bites book. Adrian was like, oh my God, I need to get you on something else. I'm so sorry. I'll reach out to Tom Bookbeard, who's running a couple of D&D type things. That'd be cool. And then he got back to me and said that Tom was doing a Deadlands session. And I was like, I don't know what that is, but luckily we have the internet. And I Googled it. And I was like, it's a Western where creepy shit happens. Okay, cool. I don't know if you can see. That's some art there of one of my main characters, Leslie. She's basically like if Katniss Everdeen was a cowboy.
Nice.
Probably the easiest way to. And she was me. She was my character in the campaign. She was a gunslinger. Who was just fucking sick of everyone's shit and just was like, I need to make gold so I can go on my own revenge tour. Can you guys stop being fucking useless for 10 minutes? So I was like, Tom, do I have a character for you that I don't even have to make up because she's already here, locked and loaded?
Yeah.
So Tom was the best. I basically gave him the rundown of Leslie and gave him like her character sheet, and he like converted it from D&D into Deadlands.
Nice.
Deadlands is such a fun system to play. Like the dice are much lower on rolls, but like if you roll the top number, you can keep rolling, and then if you keep rolling, like, it explodes the dice. So I rolled like a 40 something on a roll that I needed a 4 to succeed on, and like completely blew apart a bunch of people. And I was like, this is fucking cool. Like, I want to get this shit into D&D. Like, this is amazing. But yeah, that was a really cool experience. It was a little bit nerve-wracking to just jump in and start role playing with people I'd met 10 seconds ago on Zoom. But it was also oddly freeing because like those people didn't really know what I was really like. So then as soon as I pulled out the Lessie voice, because Lessie's always had my horrible take on like a Southern Appalachian drawl.
You know, I need to hear that now,
and
right?
Then I hopped onto this YouTube, like this StreamYard with a bunch of people who were actually from America. And I was like, oh no, they're going to think I'm making fun of them. Well, howdy, y'all. Let's get just fuck some shit up. Like, oh no, what am I doing? So, you know, I just did what I could, but
no, I think that's great.
Hard not to offend anybody. Peace to my apologies to anyone out there.
How much?
It was embarrassing, man. I was so scared.
No,
they were like, oh, no, you did good. I'm like, you can say what you think. It's fine.
That's fantastic. I'm just in my mind thinking, how much would we have to say? How much more would we have to say Ryan Cahill for you to do the rest of the interview in that voice, and I'll do it in like a Crocodile Dundee or Steve Irwin accent? What do you think? What do you think?
Look.
Nice.
Leslie's voice is kind of ingrained in me at this point. Like, she's the kind of person that lives inside you when you don't give a fuck what people think. Like, you just want you to get your shit together.
All right.
Do your job, and I'll do mine. How about that?
Okay. My bad. Okay. All right.
When I started playing D&D, my first ever character was this adorable little tiefling who I didn't know how to make a voice yet, so I just gave her my customer service voice. So she was just me if I was really happy. And then when Leslie was my second character, I was like, I want to make the opposite of that one. So I went from Kiki to Leslie, and I was like, I just want to make her me if I didn't give a fuck if anyone liked me.
Nice. Yeah.
Honestly, it was so great.
Yeah, that seems like a pretty fun way to roleplay. I made
I was still working, so I had to be nice during the day, and then I'd go to D&D and get to just be like threaten to shoot people if they didn't do what I wanted. It's awesome.
First, like before I forget, what do you do with your kid while you're playing? Because I need to like, is your kid already asleep or?
She's in bed, man. Like we started at 7:30, so she's in bed. She goes to bed at 7:30. She's allowed to stay awake until 8 o'clock if she wants to. But I told her that, like, she knows that if I can still hear her making noise, she's gonna get a little bit in trouble. But she literally never has. I think it's my karma for suffering through her horrible newborn sleeping phase. She's real good. She sleeps 7:30 every day, and I'm like, that's how it is. But then we play from 7:30 to like 11-ish.
Nice.
Sundays. Yeah.
I gotta talk my wife into playing with me. I have like a very small game with my brother and whatnot. Try to get her in before, and she's like, I got too much going on. I'm like, all right, fair. But like, I'll have to get her into it. But I'm kind of jealous though. That sounds amazing. Like sometimes my daughter
tell her to make a character that is a huge bitch, like, because it's so much fun. Like, that's the part. Like, you don't have to be nice if you don't want to.
So I kind of did that with the game that I'm playing in that. So I was like, I want to do a monk just because I haven't done that before. But somehow on the D&D sheet, like one of the things that you can have as a monk is bagpipes, which I don't know why, but I was like,
which monastic tradition that one is, but I'm not familiar.
Right. But I was like, okay, fuck it. We're definitely going to have bagpipes for this monk, and he's going to be a fucking soccer hooligan now. He's just going to fucking punch shit and drink beers, and that's what he's going to do.
From She's the Man. I don't know if he's actually Scottish, but I was just picturing that guy.
I've got to show this clip to Andrew sometime and be like, anyway. So that's what I talk like while we're playing the game, and I just, try to be a hooligan while we're playing. And
my other girl is She basically sounds like Hermione, because I only know how to do one, I only know how to do one kind of English accent, but I was like, well, she's rich, so she has to sound like a pompous British girl.
All right.
Yeah, but I haven't really gone into Scottish yet. And then I have another. So I'm feeding into the stereotype of the bisexual girl who can't play anything other than a half elf or a tiefling.
I didn't know that was a thing. Okay.
That's definitely a thing. But then I've got another tiefling, and she basically has a Salma Hayek voice that just kind of descends into Russian whenever I'm not paying attention. Because you try doing the Salma Hayek voice for any longer than 3 sentences without ending up accidentally sounding like Yelena from the Black Widow movie.
I don't think I could do Salma Hayek for any amount of time. But
have you seen the Puss in Boots movie?
I don't think I could do her voice for any amount of time, but I could.
I've watched it that many times that I'm like, you kind of just do it. It's fine. Nice. And then you end up doing the other one, and you're like, oh well.
Yeah. Nice. Well done.
If you're trying to do it and then it's bad, like I'm not trying to mock anyone. I don't know how to make my mouth make the noise. Yeah,
no, I caught my phrasing, and then I'm like, actually, I could, but.
She's not in my Christian Minecraft server. No,
she's. That's funny.
You're like, oh god, what have we even talked about yet? Where are we
no. I've got my list. I'm just deciding, like, where there's so much that we could do.
She's going off on a tangent. Stop her.
What? I almost feel like we should just do more accents. Do you have an Arnold? Everyone has an Arnold Schwarzenegger that they have in the back pocket, don't they?
Oh god.
Don't you have an Arnold?
One of the best times of pulling out the like douchey the English voice is when very early on in that campaign, one of the guys who'd been a slave, he'd been like a slave assassin, and he was like making fun of my character because my character was like, what do you mean we have to go up and get the coffee? It's no one's bringing it over. And the slave guy was like, I was underneath this wherever I was chained up for 100 years having like eating only slop and gruel. And I was like, yeah, but they brought it to you, did they not? And the way that like I saw his face break out of character and be like, fuck you. That's when you know you win D&D, when you break the other person out of a character because they're like, fuck, that was good, I hate you.
I hate you. That's funny. That's funny.
That. Thrive on that. That and spite. That's what I do.
Spite. It's so good. It's fuel for your writing.
It is. It's basically like the opposite of demand avoidance. Like, when people are like, are you going to do this? And then you're like, no, I don't want to. It's like the opposite. People be like, you can't do that. I'm like, fucking watch me. Watch me do it.
Yeah.
And watch me be better at it than you.
I am very, very the command avoidance is yes. But
oh yeah, it's honestly it's been so detrimental. When people are like, so when's book 2 coming out? I'm like, fucking never now. Stop asking for it.
That's it. Yeah, someone did a review for Mushroom Blues for Adrian, and they're like, oh, I can't wait for book 2. And like, I know that they mean that in this most like encouraging way, right? But part of me is like, bro, fuck off. It just came out. You know how much work came in? Like I don't want it's in the review.
I would write all 3 of the fuckers before I even tried to get into the scene.
Right.
And I'm like, you know what? Here, and I'll just drop it.
Yeah, here's one. You want the next one? It's coming in a month. You just right. Anyway, all right. Let's talk for a little bit. I want to talk more about your family. Your husband sounds pretty cool. He was in a punk band and he got you into Mistborn and all this fun stuff. But first, let's talk a little bit about your reels. Can I tell you, like, I mean, you've got the Brandon Sanderson reel, which is fantastic and has like 129,000 likes as I'm looking at it now and 5-something million views, which is amazing. What did that feel like when you saw that going up so high?
Overwhelming. I definitely like, when you see comments and the original creator is like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see this comment. Here's the answer. And it's from like weeks later. I was always like, what do you mean you didn't see it? After going viral, now I understand, because it used to be I had to turn off notifications for that, like, because I had them on push because I was like, oh, what if something cool happens? And then suddenly my phone was dying.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God. This is where the spite thing comes in.
Did somebody say something
let y'all
salty?
know about a great story that I've been. So, long story short, I made the first reel that came before that went viral, the Lord of the Rings one, because my ex-best friend, who was like being really mean to me about writing and stuff, she was a really big fan. So part of my brain was, when I was trying to think of content, I was like, wouldn't it be funny if I ended up on her For You page? Like that would be funny. So I made the reel and it went viral. And then I was like, what else could I end up? What else could I put on her page that would ruin her day? Why not? And the rest is history. Did not expect it to blow up that much.
And yet,
so yeah, spite pays, gang. Just do that. That's my official advice.
I like it.
Not sure if allegedly.
Allegedly,
That's
yeah.
a fictitious story with no truth to it whatsoever. Please don't sue me.
Right. Of course.
Yeah, I think in the beginning, you kind of get thrust into this world of trying to sell yourself and your book and your mark, and you have to market yourself essentially. And it's just like, what are you meant to do?
Right.
You can't try and sell your book to people when they don't know who you are, because they don't trust you. They don't know.
Right.
They're like, I don't know if it's good. Like, I'm not spending $25 on a book that I don't know is garbage.
Yeah.
You can't, like, if I made that reel, but I made jokes from my own book, no one would get it because they haven't read it.
Right.
And so, I was just kind of like making content and chucking it at the wall to see what stuck. And then, when I made the Lord of the Rings one, I was like, you know what, because this is how I feel when I read it.
Yeah.
I think being truthful and like being dramatic, but also like being genuine, like that is genuinely how I felt when I started reading Sanderson, is that like suddenly I was reading this one book and then there were 65 other ones just like being pummeled.
Yeah.
And that was when Tress, he had announced the secret projects, but not all of them were out yet. And so I just read Tress, and that's what gave me the idea. Because I was like, did he read this? Did he write this while I was asleep? Like, what? When did this happen?
Yeah. Of course, right now he's got another secret project out.
I know.
Yeah, I don't know how he's. No, he's got a problem, but we all benefit from it. That's okay.
It's a goal or a fear to worry, like if I ever meet the man and he knows or he's seen it. Like, I don't know if he'll be like, hey, I remember you. You're the girl from the reel. I don't know if that would be like I've made it moment, or if that would be like, oh no, like.
Well,
sorry, I guess.
I hope that someday we can find out how you feel about that.
One day. Yeah,
my favorite one, though, is actually your more recent. I mean, that one's very, very good. But my favorite one is the one more recent, where you're sort of like role playing the different books. Like, you got the different like fantasies, and then you got the like gritty crime book, and it's all black and white. And then you've got, well, I won't spoil what it is at the end. That's actually at the top of the TBR, but that's like, that one was.
That was super out of my comfort zone. I was like, I've never tried to be deliberately hot on the internet before. I've always kind of coasted on quirky weird girl. It was a little, I guess, intimidating.
I thought it worked. I thought, I was like, oh, hey.
The only thing that shits me about that one is that about 3 days later, this woman showed up randomly on my For You page, and she was talking about how makeup used to work when black and white films were filmed. And she was showing how they used to have to do green lipstick to make it look red. And like all this.
And you're like, why did I know that 3 days ago?
I put this makeup on and then it looked like shit in the black and white. And I was like, fuck it, I don't care. Just keep going. It's not the point. But if I'd seen that video 3 days earlier, I would have known that I'd have to put green shit on my lips to make them look like they were red. So
so fair. But I don't think that would. I don't feel like that would have made a difference in terms of views or reception.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. It just struck me as funny that information came up after I needed.
Damn you, universe! Yes.
Every time. But I wish I could just do book flips over and over.
Yeah.
People like, because they're fun. They're fun to do, and when you get them perfect and it just looks seamless, that is like such a satisfying feeling. Especially because it's majority. Like you don't have to do any weird effects editing. You just have to cut the video at the right time.
Right.
So I would do them all day, every day if I could, but unfortunately, I have to show my face, which is great.
Who wants to show their face?
I love it so much.
I wanted to like I've seen more and more stuff from Andy Pelican lately, and like some of them are he's got some good stuff though. But I want to start doing kind of an idea that MJ Kuhn also had. I don't know if you've talked to MJ Kuhn, but I feel like you two would be peas in a pod. But
we do know each other. Yes, we. She was the moderator on a panel that I did. She's fantastic.
Right? Yeah. But so she does some recs based on video games, book recs based on video games, and I want to do the same thing. I think that could be a lot of fun.
That would be super cool. Mine would all be like, if you like Skyrim, try therapy. No. Here's one. If you like Skyrim, try The Name of the Wind, because you're never going to get the next one. Waiting that fucking long. Elder Scrolls 6.
This is so salty. I love it.
Like, I swear, man, I've been waiting for that game.
Yeah.
What, like 10 years now? I don't know.
Has
it's been
a
while.
Wow. Was it? Well,
2011 that shit came out.
Okay.
The first one, Skyrim. So, like, I don't know when they announced.
The first one? That was not
we
the
all just kind of
first
assumed
one.
that they would immediately start making number 6. I'm like, where is it going?
No. I mean, like it's Elder Scrolls 5. There were way more than Skyrim. There was Morrowind. There's all the,
Yeah. Ultimate writing soundtracks. Like,
oh man,
I've never seen it. Like Jeremy Soule, who is the composer for the Skyrim, and for all of the Elder Scrolls. He's always in my top 5 on Spotify every year.
Yeah.
So it's like, Taylor, whatever other weird, sad indie bitch I've found, and then Jeremy Soule. I like depressing music. It's great. If you ever hear me listening to happy music, you're like, oh no, she's trying to make herself feel better. She must be sad.
It must be really.
So I'm walking around listening to Tolerating. You're like, oh, she's just having a good time. She just likes the song.
He was like, okay, all right. That's interesting. What an interesting dichotomy.
No, if you catch me listening to like techno or like happy shit, you're like, oh, she's trying to snap herself out of something. Like,
have you seen this techno song? This is, I feel like I must have ADHD also. This is where we're going. It's called Crab Rave.
News for you, my friend. We flock together.
Have you heard the song Crab Rave?
It's ringing a bell.
Really, yeah.
Except my brain gave me that AI SpongeBob rap song instead, which I
I did not know that one, but that sounds amazing.
It's really good. I'm like, this is the only appropriate use of AI because the dude writes the raps himself.
Yeah. But then he
uses them himself and then just uses the voice changer to make it sound like it's Mr. Krabs rapping instead. They go good. So hard. They do not. No one needs to go that hard. Like
nobody. Hey, well, let's get back to Elder Scrolls for a bit. Like you listed that as one of your favorite games. What is it about Elder Scrolls that you love? Is it like the lore, the fantasy setting, or is it the open world nature of it and the ability for you to do whatever you want?
It's definitely it's a combination of all of those things, really. I think it also has something to do with, so I'm going to try and phrase this eloquently. Right now in 2024, we live in a society that is quite, I guess, welcoming and like tolerant of other people's interests, regardless of what gender they are or what sexuality they are, and blah 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 blah. Like we're getting there. We're a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
If you go back to when I was a teenager,
mm-hmm.
I was a teenager in the early 2000s, and that is like peak. Girls were not allowed to like anything. Like if you were into nerdy shit, you got called a fake gamer girl or a poser. If you liked girly shit, you got called like a pick me, or like, you know, like you couldn't fucking like anything. Someone had a problem with it all the time. So like discovering like being able to play things like Oblivion and then later Skyrim, like that was when Skyrim, I think, is when the tide started to turn. Like Skyrim was so popular that no one cared that there were girls playing it. But like I remember playing Oblivion until like I actually worked at a game store for a while. It's like it was the Pepsi of EB Games. It's closed now. But the amount of dudes that I would like, they would be buying video games and they'd be like, "Oh, I bet you don't play. Like, do you play The Sims?" And I'd be like, like, do you want the game or not, bro? Like, have you spoken? Is this am I the first woman you've ever spoken to? Anyway, I digress. Like they couldn't believe that a girl could like it. And I remember just thinking like, what the it's fucking it's elves with swords and shit. Why would people not like that? It doesn't matter what gender you are. It matters if you think swords are cool. Like so I think that was my first sort of delve into the open end kind of stuff, because I was never bought that kind of stuff as a kid. I was given like, you know, your generic platformer kind of shit, which is awesome. But I wasn't bought Zelda. I was given Banjo-Kazooie, which is fine. Banjo-Kazooie is still one of the best games ever, not gonna lie. It's weird that I've brought it up twice already. But I never got to experience that kind of stuff. And then the Lord of the Rings movies came out, and my dad was like, holy shit, it's Lord of the Rings. Let's go see Lord of the Rings. And my dad was a big influence for me for nerdy stuff. I mean, he probably wanted a boy, but let's not go there. But he, you know, like the first movie I ever went to was Revenge of the Sith. Yes, fourth one. Four.
Phantom Menace.
The fourth one is.
No. Okay.
It's the fifth one. Jesus Christ, what's going on with me today? They did like a 10-year anniversary thing of them, and then like I was like 3. So obviously I didn't remember.
Wow. Okay.
But I got most of my nerd influences through my dad.
That's cool.
And so yeah, when we went to see Lord of the Rings, I was like, holy shit, what is this? Like this is fucking amazing.
Right.
And then from there it kind of like went, I was like, you know, Elder Scrolls Oblivion, let's fucking go. Like we had Morrowind, but it didn't run good on my computer. Because once again, we had the absolute piece of shit on the computer
right.
of a computer. But yeah, like just getting to open up Oblivion and get to be whoever I wanted. Like I think the fact that you could make a girl as well, I was like, holy crap, I can be whoever I want.
That's so interesting, because obviously my lived experience is very different. You know, I knew that, like, I mean, I do feel like at the time, clearly it was, you know, much more acceptable to be a dude nerd, but it was still like, now I feel like maybe like MCU and that sort of thing like has helped us along, but now I feel like nerd culture has completely penetrated like pop culture, and like being a nerd is super cool. But like even at the time in the early 2000s, like a nerd as a dude was, you know, not as cool. But you know, yeah, Lord of the Rings was like a turning point, you know, for me too. That was definitely. But that's definitely interesting. I definitely never again, my lived experience is very different. I never felt like I couldn't like things, so that's shitty. That sucks
It
for
was
you.
really it's quite odd because you were damned if you did and damned
Yeah,
if you didn't. Like if you would get quizzed. You like it seems like a cliche or a joke, but like you couldn't wear a band t-shirt without someone being like,
yeah,
name 5 albums. I'm like, name 5 women that trust you. Like
yeah, right.
like
Yeah, I
name
hate that
5
that
people that want you to be around them. Like just fucking shut up. And I wish I knew that shit back then because I would go back and that's what I would tell 14
yeah,
year old me. I'll be like, tell
yeah,
them to fuck off. Like, don't
yeah,
stand there and think you have to prove yourself. Be like,
right.
oh, well, actually, I like this album. Like, shut the fuck up. Just tell them to go away.
Yeah, yeah,
But I think a lot of my 12 to X experience was like either having to justify why I liked shit or having to hide why I liked shit because you couldn't like nerdy shit because
yeah,
then you were a poser or you were just trying to like, you're just trying to get boys to like you.
yeah,
And then
yeah,
like
yeah.
you couldn't like Taylor Swift because she's lame because things
Right.
that girls like are lame.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
bro,
yeah.
just
I
let it
hate that.
live.
I mean, I feel
Like,
like that kind of like lame gatekeeping exists in high schools everywhere, But I hate to see it in hobbies, and yeah, like I mean, gamer dudes are some of the fucking worst about it, especially with women. But also, like I can't tell you like how many times on like Reddit there's been people like, oh, I just read Fourth Wing and I kind of like it, and people are like, oh, you like that trash, and like, don't do that, people. Like, even if you don't like it, be like, hey, cool, what did you like about it? And
yeah,
then let me
let's
give
get
you
you
these other
into something
recommendations.
a little bit better. Yeah.
Right, right. But
Another
yeah,
one.
don't be a jerk about it.
I've tried to read it. I couldn't do it.
No, that's fine, but it's not for everyone. But like,
Yeah,
people
but
that
I don't go
like,
around
yeah,
trashing it on the internet, you know what I mean?
exactly.
Like,
Yes,
there's only
yes,
one book
yes.
that I'll trash on the internet, and we all know what it is. Say it with me, group. It is Lightlark. There it is. Yep.
Oh, is it?
Good. Fuck Lightlark. I hate that movie. Hate that book. It's not going to become a movie. Alex Astor, if you're watching, you're a hack, and I hate you.
She's definitely
Sorry.
watching. No, no,
She's
no.
not watching. She's wiping her tears with millions of dollars.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like, and that's why I hate her because she's on fucking the Drew Barrymore show talking about how her book's got a movie deal and like
Right.
it's the worst prose I've ever read in my life. So
Oh, really? Yeah.
here we are.
Yeah.
I could rant
Yeah.
about that book for a long time. But you know what? We're here to have a positive experience.
Turns out you don't have to have good prose to sell books, right?
Oh, absolutely not. No, selling a book
might even be a
and
hindrance.
writing a good book are
Right.
different skills. Like,
right.
oh my God. I mean, it helps if your sister runs the marketing for TikTok, but
Is that what's going on with Alex? I know that there's like controversy with Alex
yeah.
and TikTok and yeah.
The main thing that soured me more than anything is that she said, like, she was arguing with people about how she didn't have privilege because she didn't have connections in the publishing industry. And people were trying to say to her that, no. What we're saying is you have privilege because your parents paid for your rent to live in New York so you could be a full-time writer. That is privilege. Like, the rest of us are out here slogging it.
I mean,
saving up money so they can take a time off to write, or we're trying to do it in our bedrooms after we put our kids to sleep and our work done. Like,
I feel like everybody has some kind of privilege somehow, and to be like, I don't have privilege at all is so like.
Yeah. That's the part where I was like,
Yeah. Yep.
But I think the amount of people that I've met and experienced in the industry, like whether they're famous or not, like whether it's the indies or it's the trads, like the amount of good people far outweighs the amount of bad people and the amount of annoying people.
Good people are great people.
Game
people, on the other hand. Yeah, why gamer dudes hate on women, I don't get it either.
Yeah. Dude, can we talk about so on TikTok there was a trend going around where girls were like, they found out that Ghost from Call of Duty is hot, and like they were like thirsting over him and making thirst traps of him and stuff. And all these guys got really upset about it, and they were like, you don't fucking like COD, you just think he's hot, blah 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 blah. And then these people were like, this was your chance
Yeah,
to
yeah.
dress up as Ghost and have your girl go feral for it, and
This
you're
was.
ruining it. Why are you missing this opportunity? Why would you not lean into
Right,
this? You're an
right,
idiot. Like,
right, right.
bruh. I think
Bruh.
that's the part that just gets me every time. Is like they
Yeah.
just miss the
Yep.
opportunity. Like,
Well
that's
said, Josh.
hilarious.
Like a. Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
like, look,
yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I definitely got a few of those thirst trap ghost edits on my For You page, and I was not scrolling.
It was not. You're like, oh. Yeah.
He's British and he's wearing a mask, so I don't know what he looks like. He could be super hot under there. No idea.
You just get to paint the picture, right?
Why so many women have a mask kink? It's funny as fuck.
Interesting, huh? All right.
Apparently.
Getting ideas for reels. Getting ideas for reels. No.
Yep, there it is.
I never wanted to show my face anyway, so there we go. Right?
Oh God, right? Like, I think no one talks about how like you have to edit the shit. So like,
Yeah.
I've got about 20 minutes of editing in me before I can't stand the sight of my own face anymore. And I'm like, I'm just putting this down, walking away. Like,
can I tell you? And like, I've said this in another video, but like, I never noticed until I started doing this and then doing edits how like I apparently open this side of my face more than I open this side of my face while I'm talking. What the fuck is that?
myself out. I used to be a really bad like bottom teeth talker.
Yeah.
And I had to train myself out of it because my bottom teeth are fucking gross. So I'm like, I don't want anyone to see that. Like, I was like talking like this, and they were out everywhere.
What the hell?
Oh, no one told me I've been doing this for 20 years. What is wrong with you?
That's funny.
It's actually
All right.
the worst. And then just having to perceive your own face and be an extrovert on the internet for people to know that your book exists is exhausting. I'm really, really grateful that I've found so many cool people to do it with.
Yes.
Because if it was just me by myself, I think I would have given up by now. But
yes,
we try, man. We try.
Yes. All right. All right. I want to briefly, for anyone that's joined, I want to talk about Spark just for a second. Go get it. What are you doing? Check it out. Can we talk briefly too about the fact that you're absolutely killing it on reviews? Like, you are 4.8 on Amazon and 4.7 on Goodreads. What?
It's because only 25 people have read it, Nick.
Yeah, but I mean, all of them love it. All of them.
Did all right. I definitely think I got super lucky with my ARC team. The people that the people that applied for ARCs, besides being some of the best people in the industry, which I didn't even know at the time. I was like, oh, this Esme girl seems really fucking nice. Cool, I'm going to give her a book.
Turns out, yeah,
right? Yeah,
big deal.
I love Esme so much. Anyway,
yes.
I could talk about Esme for an hour, just about how much I admire her as a person.
Go.
And as a reader, because I don't think I've read as many books in my entire life than she does in 1 year.
Go. An hour. Clock starts now.
With the reviews for Spark, I think I did a really good job of vetting kind of people's expectations of what they were going to read. And I think that's really important.
Yeah.
Especially when you're in an indie space where you can kind of just write whatever the fuck you want. Like, you could write the most disturbing or the most fluffy stuff that you want. No one's stopping you. But I think if you don't set the expectation of tone and of content with people, then you risk them not enjoying or just straight up having a bad time. Like, I remember there were only a couple of people who I had a little section in my ARC thing that was like, do you have any serious triggers that you don't want to experience in writing? Because Spark doesn't really have anything that I would consider triggering, but I'm one person, you don't know. Anyone could have anything going on. And so there were a couple of people that I reached out to based on their answers in there. And I was like, hey, just letting you know, there's a scene in here where, a character talks about the death of their children. And, if that's triggering to you,
maybe take a pass.
Yeah, pass it. Or this is the chapter it happens in. There's no graphic detail. It's in the, blah, 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 and gave them some more details. Or,
How did they respond to that when you did that?
And they were like, "Thank you so much. I'm good. Like, I'll just read it. Like, it was good." And same with the other person. Like, I messaged them and I was like, "Hey, and I've seen what you wrote there. Just letting you know there is a scene where they're in a bar and like a drunk dude claps her on the shoulder, puts his arm around her, and is like talking and blah blah blah. And it's giving off the undertone of violence that all women know immediately." And I was like, "I just want to let you know that scene goes that far, and then the drunk's hand is forcibly removed and then broken into tiny pieces. So it's not gonna, like, it's an immediate resolution, and it's a satisfying one." And the person was like, "I love that shit. Thank you so much."
Yeah.
And I put that in there specifically because that is a micro trope that I will die for. And it made sense to the characters to do that. Because I read a I wish I could remember who said this, but if you have to have your characters kiss to show that they're in love, they're not in love. You have to show how they love each other in other ways. And this is one of those ways where the person who is not supposed to be outwardly violent, not supposed to be like act like that, especially in public, sees that happen to the one that they love and goes, "Absolutely not, I'm going to kill this person." And then they have to be like, "Okay, can't do that in front of everybody, be cool,
calm down."
And I eat that shit up every time. Like,
nice.
Love it.
Can I tell you, like, my I love that if people have to kiss to show that they're in love, then they're not in love.
Sorry, Jonathan, you nearly made me spit water on my computer.
Love with violence. Got it.
Violence to a third party who is a hostile force. Yes, go.
I missed that. I'm glad you called that out. I'm glad. By the way, also, hey, what's up? Some Okie dude. Thanks for joining.
Hey.
Jonathan. Yes.
God damn it, John.
God damn it. So there's this little app that my wife and I use. It's called Paired, and it's just like every day there's a little prompt, and it's like, hey, it's just to make you like have conversations with the person you love, and keep. So one of them, I can't even remember the question, but she answered that like in this Allie Hazelwood romance book that she read, she really liked. It was asking about fictional couples that you thought were good, and she said like these ones in these books because it always starts with like kind of a little bit of like enemies to lovers type trope, but like they're like academic enemies. It's not like they're swashbuckling enemies or whatever.
I love a good academic rivals to lovers. Like there's no murder, but it's still
right.
a legitimate rivalry.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. But by the end, they adore each other, and like you can tell that they adore each other. And I was like, cool, interesting. I'm gonna get some good. How do you know that they adore each other? And she's like, you should read the book. And I'm like, fuck, like, you got me. I guess I feel like maybe if I do read the book and take notes, that would show it, right? Right.
I mean, look, just between you and me, if you read one Allie Hazelwood book, you've read them all until you get to her Omegaverse shit, which is a whole other kettle of fish. But we're not going to talk about the Omegaverse on this because this is an MA15 plus podcast. It's not, but I'm making that rule now because I don't want to talk about the Omegaverse.
Is that, well, briefly, is that the new, like her new book or whatever, Beast?
Yes, it is. I have not read it, but I have read. I do that thing where I don't have time to read books, but I do have time to extensively read reviews of books that I'm not going to get around to reading and enjoy them, whether they're good or whether they're bad. Like I love that. Same as with the Oscars when the movies come out. I don't watch the movies, but I do then go and read like massive IMDb like breakdown summaries of all of why they're good and bad. Right.
Just read it, Nick. I'll check it out. I especially, but my wife has said the same thing, Lou, of like, they're kind of, it's the same thing. But
it hits every time, man. Like that
shit's
been good since the Mills and Boone, like my mom was reading those Mills, like the Harlequin romance. Like romance is of humanity. If we didn't have romance, we didn't have people falling in love, the human race would cease to exist. So
yes. Like also, apparently, like the most sort of formulaic, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but formulaic genre, because the readers expect like very specific things throughout the story.
It's not about if they're going to get together. We know they are. It's about the how. It's about the journey. It's about the friends we make along the way.
But even but there's like, you like, you need to have there's challenges along the way, and if the how is too simple, it's not interesting story, right? Yeah.
Absolutely. And there are people who will say like, oh, if you put characters together in a long series, if you put them together in the first book, people are going to drop the series because they don't give a fuck now they're together. They wanted the how do they manage to sort their shit out enough to get together. So I don't like I'm one of those people, actually. I think I like the struggle of them getting to that point, rather than the seeing them be happy. I don't know, maybe what that says about me, but
fair, valid, slaps. A lot of people love it, and I guess in your book, like there's like a lot of people are interested in each other, right? Crushes, you said.
I genuinely wanted to show different types of love in Spark, and I'm going to get a little bit deep here for a minute.
Let's do it.
There are multiple. I always turn it the wrong way because I'm mirrored. There are multiple types of love, and there are multiple, I guess, interwoven storylines when it comes to that. But one of the biggest ones I wanted to show is that there is what I like to call quiet love and what I like to call loud love. Quiet love is the love that two people have for each other when they have known each other for so fucking long that they can read each other's minds, essentially. And then there's the love that comes from two people that are extremely sexually attracted to each other, but also think that the other person is a fucking idiot and want to headbutt them. There are times and places for both of those types of romance, but I do think they're extremely hard to put into the same couple. So I wanted, like, having this like big group of people, I was able to showcase more than one type. But I think I'm going to get real existential here. My favorite type of love is the platonic, the friendship love that comes in the book, which I think is probably the most real in the book because it is real. Like, and that's where the true story thing comes in. Like this book is a love letter to my D&D crew. That are real people that I lived this story with and cried at the table with, which is embarrassing, but here we are. Like,
I love that.
I'm not going to write. It's clean. Let's just say that it's not a smutty book.
Right.
People have someone asked me once. They're like, "Oh, does it have spice in it?" But it was after I'd spoken about how it was a true story, and I just looked them in the eye and I was like, "Babe, one of these characters is played by my brother. Like, I'm not writing sex scenes with my brother's character. That's fucking weird. Like,
nobody's doing it. Nobody. Yeah, That's funny. That's funny. Yeah.
But I think there's like, I love that. I love a good spicy scene. And I love a good romance story. But I think that there's multiple ways to tell those different types of stories, and I like watching them intertwine. So that was probably one of my favorite parts of writing, is getting to show the different types of love and the different stages that you can be in depending on your personality, really.
I like it. See, and and I think that's really interesting, the way you have these different types of love. And I guess over the progression of the trilogy, we'll probably get to see kind of these relationships develop more, which will be fun. One writer that I talked with is Mary Robinette Kowal, and a lot of her books, she tries to include why are you like looking off? Keep looking off.
Someone opened the door to the room and I'm like trying to figure out what they're doing without taking my attention off you.
All right, sorry. Right. I'm trying to be low key and you fucking called me.
That's exciting.
That's awesome. Yay! Woo! Look at that. That is love. That's love.
I don't know if I can eat on camera though, because it's a different type of show.
I don't. A different type.
Oh, that's worse. Whatever.
Anyway. So Mary Robinette Kowal, she does like committed couples and happy relationships in almost all of her books, and I thought that was so cool because there's so much focus in romance on, and I'm not like, don't get me wrong, what you're doing is awesome and lots of people love that sort of thing, but I do think that there's room to talk about like the hard work of making relationships work over a long term, and I think that can be interesting. So the way that she approached that, which I thought was amazing, is she said, you have kind of, in her most recent, you had like the husband and wife, and then you had the relationship, and she treats it like a third character, I'm like, oh, I love that. Like their relationship has its own kind of character arc and that sort of thing. I'm like, I like that a lot. I like that a
That's
lot.
cool. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's really interesting.
Go ahead.
Write that down.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, absolutely. Just spoiler free. The couple that have been in love for a long time but don't really talk about it.
Oh, nice. Okay, that happened for a long time.
Their relationship is like fuck. Can't spoil anything. Their relationship is declared, and they are fully aware of each other's feelings, and they reciprocate said feelings.
Nice.
But I do explore how that's going to go and how it's going to work in subsequent stories, especially because if any of the 6 people in the chat have read the book, we know it's going to get a little bit awkward. Yeah. What happens with the thing? Tell them I'll sue him.
Tell them I'll sue him. Yeah.
I'm just kidding. That's great. No,
it's like you can't do that. I've done that. No one else can do that. Right? Of course. Yeah. But anyway, so speaking of relationships, your husband sounds awesome. I don't want to steal thunder, but he bought you Mistborn, and he was in a punk band.
And he brought me a sandwich.
And he brought you a sandwich. Like, I want to marry your husband.
He's all right.
He's all right. Nice. Anything else? Like, I mean, what? Was he a nerd? He must have been a nerd to be picking you up Mistborn.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, my husband's the kind of guy that, like, you know, he read Lord of the Rings when he was 9. Like, we were like very parallel. In our kind of like growing up or whatever, and we met when we were quite young. I was 21 when we met. But we didn't start dating for a couple of years.
The end of polyamory. Asking for ourselves.
Fortunately, no. I've got enough personalities to keep him, which has been what we've been joking about for quite a long time. No, I am very grateful for my husband, and I did base. The crazy thing is going back to speaking about the different types of love. My husband and I have been through so many different stages of love that I'm able to draw from those experiences, despite using them for different characters.
Yeah.
And I think, like, when you're with someone for a really long time, to the point that you can read their mind and you don't have to sort of ask them what they need, it becomes even more important to then ask them what they need, because you can't just go ahead and assume that everything's fine.
Wow.
But you also have to grow as a person and as a couple. And it's like you said with the thing with the relationship being the third character. Characters are not static, and neither are real people. Like, if you don't have a growth arc and become someone new at the end of the book, then you haven't really done anything. Like, what have you done? And I guess like, even going back to the pandemic and stuff, like the people that we were when we got married, which was 2017, like, I don't know who the fuck those people are anymore. My husband and I like to say that we're on our second marriage, because those people are gone. Like, we don't know who they are. They had no idea what was going on. And, you know, like, I think a lot of people get married these days because you do, because it's what you think you're meant to do. It's like a milestone.
Right.
But then, like, my husband stepped up and learned what the patriarchy is, and learned what emotional labor is, especially after having a kid. Like, we did not know what we were fucking in for.
Yeah.
You suddenly have to juggle way more shit than you did before, and it takes a lot more to be happy. But you discover that you have to fall in love. We're very lucky that we fell in love with the people that we are now, who are completely different to the people that we were 7 years ago when we got married, and, you know, 12 years ago when we met. And there's a lot of people that don't, and that's okay.
Yeah.
If you change. Tax break. You guys get tax breaks for getting married? I just have to I have to tell the government what he makes. That's shit.
Yeah.
Right.
Our taxes are
I'm not
stupid.
sure if I had a point other than I love my
No.
husband.
I think that was
But
I
I
think
love
that
him
was
for different reasons than I did when I married him, which I think is pretty cool. And I think in an odd way, it helps me to write realistic expressions of different types of love, because I've been in that crazy, like, you want to strangle them, but you also want to, strangle them. But I've also lived in that like, you can hear it in the silence, you can feel it on the way home kind of love that is more important than anything, really.
That's
finding
lovely.
the fireworks and the picket fence and finding the balance between them.
I love that. Wow. Yeah. That's great.
I should write that down.
You should write that down. You could put that in a book. Yeah. Very nice. Very nice and very cool. And yeah, he sounds pretty cool. I love that he's a nerd. And who is your DM in your group?
He is.
He is your DM? Nice. That's cool.
It's crazy. I was actually looking at it the other day and I was like, there is so much like, you have to be really careful when you novelize a Dungeons and Dragons. Okie dude, tell your friend this as well. You should know this too. The absolutely love Critical Role. Here is the thing. When you are novelizing a D&D campaign, especially if you're not the DM, you don't know what they might have ripped off from something that you haven't consumed.
Right.
Because a lot of Dungeons and Dragons and a lot of homebrew Dungeons and Dragons as well, in particular, is like slapdashing shit that you've seen from 18 different TV shows, sci-fi, fucking every book you've ever written in your life, every video game you've ever written in your life,
right?
And just like sticky taping it together and like telling up like heaps of that shit is made up on the fly. But a lot of it has inspiration and roots in things, and you need to be careful. Like for example, some of the realms in my book, because there's 7 realms, I had to change names of them and rearrange letters and make them, because some of them were just called, the Feywild, or a word that then ended up being straight out of Greek mythology. And I was like, well, I can't use that because it's going to look weird next to all of the other words that were not like, or like, a little bit of a lighter note. The other day when I tweeted that one of the bad guys in like a little mini arc we ran was canonically named Aaron. I can't use that. I mean, I could, but kind of with the tone.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like, you got to make sure that like everything's borrowed. We borrow from everything,
Yes.
Everything is inspiration. Everything's stolen from Lord of the Rings and then rinsed through the Brandon Sanderson Cosmere and then hung out to dry on the line of Feist and Jordan. But you have to kind of make sure that it is, I guess, not copying. You're not straight up plagiarizing without knowing it as well. If you're not the DM, I've definitely gone to Matt a couple of times and been like, "Where did you get the inspiration for this?" Because I just tried to Google it and it gave me a bunch of books that I've never heard of. So it can be a little bit awkward. Is what it is. Nice. The other thing as well is you never know who's planning what when. Thinking of Critical Role, Matt he always says, he's like, I always plan something cool for us to do, and then Critical Role fucking does it the next episode and it looks like I stole it from them. And it's like, I didn't, but it's gonna look like it now.
Yeah.
Like, I did a panel with Richard Swan, incredible writer, recently, and I was talking about Spark. And I was explaining the god magic, and he was like, "Oh, I'm actually writing a series about gods and divine magic." And I was like, "Oh, cool! Richard Swan's stealing my ideas." Like, just as a joke. And then I emailed him. I was like, "You can just send my check through whenever you're ready." But the reality is, yeah, you're gonna just try not to steal anyone's ideas on purpose. But you are gonna have stuff that comes up by accident, and then at least you got some comps, I guess.
At least you got some comps. Yeah, exactly. Good point.
I struggle so bad with comps because I feel like everyone uses Sando, and I'm like, should we all be saying that it's Mistborn? Should we all be saying that it's Brandon? Like,
Right.
I mean, like, but it makes sense though, because like, who hasn't read that?
Like, I have not. I've read Mistborn, but I haven't read Stormlight Archive, but it's on my TBR for this year.
I've read Stormlight so many times, but like every time a book comes out, I have to reread it again because I can't fucking remember what's happened.
Yeah.
Like, I'm definitely one of those people, like, you know, those people who write, Jonathan? Oh my God.
Yeah, that would be handy. That would be handy, Jonathan.
I'm one of those people, I read the book, and when I'm reading the book, I'm having the time of my life. And then 5 seconds after I've shut the book, I could not tell you a plot point whatsoever. I could tell you if I liked it. I'd be like, yeah, 5 stars, fucking brilliant, great vibes. What happens? No idea.
No clue. No idea.
Some stuff.
Some things, you know. Vibes, there was like a fight at one point, maybe 2 points. Yeah, right, magic. I think in Mistborn there was something about eating metal. I don't know. Like maybe they were eating like it was a toddler eating coins. Who knows? You know. Jackie
Kennedy was in it at one point. Sorry.
Right.
That's such a chronically online thing to say.
Totally. All right. So let's close out with talking a little bit more about Spark. So I saw in on Amazon that you're apparently in the paranormal and urban fantasy category. What is going on?
I have no idea.
You got ghosts, or is it happening in Chicago? What's going on here? What's going on?
I mean, there's a city. Fucking how urban is urban? Like they're built up. Fucking I don't know. I don't know how that shit works at all.
Right.
I got put into military fiction for a while there, and I was like,
oh.
Then again, so is Fourth Wing. So, like,
yeah, but isn't like the Fourth Wing? They're in like a military academy, aren't they? Right.
She stuck dragons in there.
Right.
It has battles in it, so I guess you know. But yeah, no, I don't really know how those things work. I definitely didn't pick those because, like, I don't know if you like when you pick. What your
I think the keywords, yeah.
They're real generic. They don't give you the option to be like to give you the weird ones. It's just like I just picked like fantasy general, and then like fucking I don't know, fantasy epic. That was about it. So Amazon's decided it's urban. Have they? That's okay.
Let's see the paranormal. Well, I get no. The genre is like paranormal and urban. Which why are those two together?
Yeah, and it's neither of those things. So,
right,
you know,
right,
it's helpful.
Yeah, is it? I love the idea though of the god magic. There's I think a few break-ins authors that are doing kind of god magic. Like Pathfinder has some elements of god magic also. But I like
Pathfinder's very like Greek pantheon kind of stuff as well. Like I suppose like I have a pantheon of gods, but then there's also in Spark there's different generations of gods, which it doesn't go into all that much. But I know that they're there. You know, you get to drop like 10% of your world building into a novel because otherwise you're just writing an encyclopedia. But essentially in the Spark world, all of the gods were imprisoned by one of the gods.
What an a-hole!
And he stole all of their divinity and used it for himself.
Wow!
And ruled as the only god for like 50,000 years or some crazy amount of time until the gods started to break back out of the prison. And then his deception came to light, and everyone was like, Ryan, what a piece of shit. And he kind of was like, peaced out. So they're in the stage now where it's only been about 100 years since that happened, and they're like still trying to figure out who's got what god power and whatnot, who's taken their mantle back, and some of the mantles of gods are still empty because there was only one for ages. I know what's going on. Hopefully I've explained it enough for people to at least kind of grasp it. And I figure I've got 2 more to go before I really have to nail that shit in.
I love it. When book 2 is about to come out, can we do another talk? And instead of like, what we should do is just like be like, yeah, so there was the god, and he was like, and he put them all into prison, and then he was like, wait, they were coming out, and he's like, he pieced out,
Yes, we need to do like gossip.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so what happened, right? So Ryan was like, I need all of this god power, right?
Wait, he did what?
Yeah. And then so they were in the prison for like 50,000 years. Like everyone forgot about their gods. It was fucked up. There was no divinity, like there was no arcane stuff. It was
That's
fucked.
super
like no
fucked.
one wants to live like that.
No one.
And anyway, and then so Harafeth, who was like one of the angry gods, and Lairiel, who is the goddess of war, they got together inside the prison and were like, fuck this, we're gonna jailbreak.
Now when you say get together, they just worked together. They didn't get together. They weren't like
no, they got together as in like they were like they were in cahoots. They were in
cahoots. Yeah. All right.
How good is being in cahoots? And they splintered the god prison and managed to crack it open. So now gods are leaking out,
dripping everywhere, just falling. And
starting to manifest back into the realms that they were once originated in. And everyone found out that Ryan was a big fat liar.
What a jerk! Oh my god, I never liked Ryan from the beginning. 50,000 years ago, I was like Ryan is like, but
it's a lot. I could do an entire rundown summary in that. That's like the Valley Girl gossip podcast of
we're doing it
of explaining Calorac lore. Absolutely.
Yes, that'll be like the perfect primer to get readers back into the story, And if you didn't remember what happened, well, we've got you covered. And then we just get right in. Yeah. Oh my god, can you believe that, Ryan? Oh my god.
And that's what you missed on Glee. I always say that at the end of my so we take it in turns to do the recap of how we played like the week before of what happened.
Yeah.
So I always am like, yep, and then we fought a Hydra, and that's what you missed on Glee.
Nice. All right. This has been lovely, Lou. I look forward to our next chat where we do that and talk about what happened on Glee.
Absolutely.
In the meantime, where can people find what? Like an old married.
So the trick is we're just old and married to other people.
There are a couple of old married people.
His wife speaking to him like this, and I'm used to my husband speaking to me like this.
That's perfect. All right, where can folks find and follow you online, Lou?
So Louise Holland author is generally the good one. That won't fit on Twitter though, so it's LA Holland author. My middle name is Annika, just for the record. And you can also find me by just searching Spark of the Divine in Google. I fought with Google for literally months trying to make those SEOs work, so please put them to good use. Or my work was all in vain. Also, so if you look in my book, I've got my little K here, Komori Books, that it's published by. That's just me. So if you go to komoribooks.com.au, that's me. And you can buy my book directly from there, which is very cool. It may or may not be cheaper than Amazon, depending on where you live. If you live in Australia, it definitely is, because Amazon can be a bit of a dick around here. But if you're in America, maybe not, because it's shipping. But you do get a big sign. I don't know what an SSN is, Bo. I'm Australian.
Social security number. It's like it's a federal government ID number.
I technically don't have a birth certificate either because it's in Swedish and I can't read it. So
that doesn't mean you don't have it. That means you can't read it.
It's not real.
It's not real.
Australian. It doesn't count. It won't work if I try to use it for the government. They're like, "What the fuck is this?" I'm like,
what is this? We can't read it either.
My name on it. Fucking.
Come on. Yeah. Well, it's been a fun time. I've enjoyed chatting with you. Thank you so much, Lou.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. It's been
absolutely fun. Thank you guys for hanging out in the chat. Thanks for watching.
Yeah,
thanks for playing along. Right.
Shout out to the break-ins for filling it up, but then also thank you for everyone else who was not contractually obligated to be here.
You're an international woman of mystery, Lou. Yep. Perfect.
If I could keep my mouth shut for more than 10 seconds, that might be true. Guess we'll never know.
Thanks again. You can follow me. I've got all my links on the description on YouTube, and you check out my Patreon. You can join for free, find out everything I'm doing. And if no one's told you today, you're an absolute legend.
Nope. Where am I in the bank?